Welcome to NFL Nexus. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a team that just feels, well, perpetually stuck in the middle, the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, for 3 straight years, they've been good, but not quite good enough, always hovering right around that .500 mark. So what is really going on in Indy? Are they building towards a big breakthrough, or is this whole thing about to come crashing down? We're going to get into all of it. And hey, if you like deep dives like this one, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel and like this video. It helps a ton, and you won't miss what we've got coming next. All right, let's do this. So under head coach Shane Steichen, the Colts have really been the absolute textbook definition of a .500 football team. You know the type. They're always in the mix, they're always competitive, but they just can't seem to get over that final hump and actually make the playoffs. So the huge question we're trying to answer today is this frustrating pattern a sign of a team that's building something real, or is it just the mark of a franchise that's fundamentally spinning its wheels in mediocrity? To really get to the bottom of what's happening in Indianapolis, we need to break it down from 4 key angles. First up, we're going to put the coach, Shane Steichen, right under the microscope. Then, we have to talk about the absolute chaos at the quarterback position that's defined his entire tenure. After that, we'll look at a massive bet the team made on defense. And finally, we'll see how all of this is building towards a make-or-break moment in 2026. So let's kick things off with the man in charge, head coach Shane Steichen. And you really have to remember the situation he walked into back in 2023. I mean, the Colts were a complete dumpster fire. They were coming off that abysmal 4-12-1 season that got Frank Reich fired, which led to the, let's just call it the unforgettable Jeff Saturday experiment. So Steichen, fresh off a Super Bowl run as the Eagles' OC, was brought in to be the offensive guru, the steady hand that would finally right the ship. But here we are, 3 seasons later, and the consensus from guys like ESPN's Bill Barnwell is, well, it's kind of meh. This quote right here just perfectly sums up the feeling around Steichen's time in Indy. He hasn't been a disaster, not at all. The team is always competitive, they play hard, but he also hasn't been that transformational leader that just lifts the entire franchise to another level. He's been smack dab in the middle. And when you look at the raw numbers, you see this maddening, almost unbelievable consistency. 8-9, 9-8, 8-9. It's like the movie Groundhog Day. For 3 years in a row, they've been just good enough to be part of the playoff conversation in December, but never good enough to actually get an invitation to the dance in January. This pattern of being just good enough to lose is what defines the Steichen era so far, always so close, yet always on the outside looking in. And this number right here, this just solidifies that whole league average tag. Out of 37 head coaching hires across the league since 2021, Barnwell put Steichen at number 16, the exact middle of the pack. Again, not bad, but it's not the game-changing result the Colts were hoping for. And look, while a lot of this story is about the quarterback, you do have to ask if some of Steichen's own play calling or game management has played a role in these middling results. But to really get why they're stuck here, we have to talk about the one position that's been a source of pure, unending chaos. And here we go. This is the big one, folks. The elephant in the room for the Indianapolis Colts. You literally cannot have an honest conversation about Shane Steichen's time here without talking about the absolute nonstop revolving door at quarterback. For a brilliant offensive mind whose entire system is built on timing and chemistry with his QB, this constant turnover has been the single biggest anchor weighing him down. It's like trying to build a mansion on quicksand. I mean, just look at this list. It tells you everything you need to know. In just 3 seasons, Steichen's had to completely retool his fun, logical offenses for at least 5 different main quarterbacks. It's just impossible to build any kind of long-term rhythm. You can't develop that deep connection between a QB and his receivers when the guy under center is changing every few months. It feels like every time they take one step forward, they have to go right back to square one. So the original master plan was to pair Steichen's genius with the massive upside of Anthony Richardson. The idea was simple. Mold this incredibly gifted but super raw athlete into a franchise superstar. The reality, though, it was a complete disaster. First off, the guy just couldn't stay healthy, playing in less than half the games over his first 2 seasons. And when he was on the field in 2024, the results were deeply concerning. Completing less than 50% of your passes in the modern NFL is a giant red flag. Turnovers were a constant problem. And then there were reports of him tapping out of a game because of exhaustion that raises questions that go way beyond just X's and O's. But then, the 2025 season gave us this fascinating little glimpse of what this offense could be. The Colts brought in Daniel Jones, and before a tough injury cut his season short, he led the team to a fantastic 8-2 start. Now, this is the most important part of the whole story. That brief experiment proved that Shane Steichen's system isn't the problem. Not at all. It can win, and it can win at a high level. It just needs a competent, professional quarterback who can stay on the field and run the plays. The potential is right there, staring them in the face, but it's been held hostage by that instability under center. All right, we're going to get to the defense in just a second, but first, a quick note. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want to help support what we're doing here at the channel, a great way to do that is by checking out our coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, even adults. You can find them using the link in the description or the QR code on your screen. Okay, so while the offense has been this big story of what ifs, the Colts front office made a massive move in 2025 to make a statement on the other side of the ball. So with the offense just trying to find some kind of stable identity, the front office basically said, all right, let's pour our resources into the defense. They brought in a highly respected new defensive coordinator in Lou Anarumo, and then they went out and made a huge splash in free agency, signing former Vikings safety Cam Bynum to be the new leader of their secondary. This wasn't just another signing. This was a major strategic shift for the franchise. And when I say they made a splash, I mean they dropped a tidal wave. They gave Bynum a 4-year, $60 million deal, with $26 million of that guaranteed. Let's be crystal clear about what a number like that means in the NFL. You do not give that kind of cash to a stopgap player. That is a, we are building our entire defense around you kind of contract. It was a huge signal from the front office that Bynum was their guy, a cornerstone piece for years to come. And this investment wasn't some wild gamble on potential. This was a payment for proven, reliable production. Bynum wasn't a flash in the pan. After his rookie year, he became a starter for Minnesota and turned into an absolute Iron Man. Starting all 51 possible games for a team from 2022 to 2024 is practically unheard of these days, especially at a brutal position like safety. That kind of dependability was exactly what the Colts were craving, and it was such a stark contrast to the utter chaos they had on offense. And his impact in Indianapolis was immediate, and you can see it right in the data. Pro Football Focus backed it all up. Out of nearly 100 qualifying safeties, Bynum graded out as a legit top-tier player. Ranking 25th overall is really solid, but look closer. That 21st ranking in run defense, that's elite stuff. That means he was one of the absolute best in the league at flying downhill and stopping the run. And his coverage grade shows he's more than capable in the passing game too. He wasn't just a good signing. He was that high-level stabilizing force their defense had been missing for years. And you know, his impact went way beyond just the fancy grades. The guy was a true playmaker from the moment he stepped on the field. He introduced himself to Colts fans by picking off Tua Tagovailoa in his very first game. He kept that Iron Man streak going, starting all 17 games. And he set new career highs with 4 picks and 3 tackles for loss. It just felt like he was always around the football, and he formed this really underrated safety tandem with Nick Cross. And the best part for Indy? He's only 27. He is right in his prime. Okay, so when you zoom out and look at the whole picture, the situation for the Colts heading into 2026 becomes incredibly clear. You've got an offense with a system we know is good, but it's totally handicapped by this giant question mark at quarterback. Then, on the other side of the ball, you've got a defense that's now built around an expensive primetime star. All of these different storylines are converging on one single point in time, a massive make-or-break season for the entire franchise. There's really no other way to say it. The pressure is on for everybody in that building. The time for growth, the time for excuses, the time for being almost there is completely over. From the general manager Chris Ballard to the head coach Shane Steichen, all the way down to the players on the field. 2026 is the year that this version of the Indianapolis Colts has to finally put all the pieces together and show some real results. And the goals for the season are crystal clear. You can think of it as a checklist for survival. Number 1, and this is the big one, they have to get a quarterback healthy and on the field for a full 17 games. Number 2, a playoff run isn't a nice-to-have anymore, it is a flat-out requirement. Another 9-8 season is a failure. And number 3, they have to win the AFC South, something this team, unbelievably, hasn't done since 2014. That is a decade-long drought. And this quote right here just lays out the stakes as bluntly as possible. This isn't just about winning games anymore, it's about job security. The grace period for blaming the quarterback carousel is officially closed. If the Colts can't check these 3 boxes in 2026, then the leadership team of Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard is almost certainly going to be looking for new jobs come 2027. That's exactly what the Cam Bynum contract tells you. You don't make that kind of huge financial investment in a player who is in his prime if you're planning a long-term rebuild. No way. That was an aggressive, all-in, win-now kind of move. The front office has pushed all their chips to the middle of the table, and they expect to see a return on that investment right now, not 3 years from now. And this feeling echoes throughout the entire organization. The 2026 season is not just another year. It's basically a final exam on this whole era of Colts football. If they fail to achieve real, tangible success, like a playoff berth or a division crown, it's going to lead to what's being called monumental change. And we all know that's just a polite way of saying they're going to tear it all down and start over from scratch. And this chart, this visualizes the team's entire problem perfectly. Think about it like this. They've built their future on 2 huge, solid pillars. 40% of it is the proven potential of their offense. The other 40% is the massive investment they've made in their defense. But the fate of that entire structure, all 80% of it, is resting on that shaky, volatile 20% at the top, the quarterback position. If that one piece finally crumbles, the whole thing is coming down with it. So that brings us to the final, crucial question. Is 2026 going to be the year of the breakout? The year a healthy quarterback finally unlocks this team's true potential and they become a real contender? Or is it going to be the year of the breakdown? Another frustrating season of almost that leads to that inevitable full franchise reset in 2027. The stakes honestly could not be higher. So, what do you think is going to happen in Indy? Let me know your prediction down in the comments. And if you found this breakdown valuable, make sure you're subscribed to NFL Nexus for more deep dives all season. Thanks for watching.